Welcome back to Keep Expecting Miracles. I am Ilissa,
And I'm Jessica.
and we're back with another episode.
Woo-hoo.
Woohoo! Every time we choose a new topic, that stuff shows up in our life. And so it's full of processing and trying to figure out what the F is going on.
Yes. Was there anything else about Sarah's interview that has taken you on any other journeys?
um, we said it when we started this podcast that it was going to be big. We're growing.
Hmm.
It's coming. Um, but her coming and us having a discussion with her and the healing that took place. Please go back and watch that episode if y'all have not watched it. The healing that took place while we were having that discussion amongst all of us um really opened my eyes to, oh shit, this is about to be big. Like that
I
that's
know.
what came through my mind. I'm sorry,
I
Sarah, for me
know.
saying that. Like, I want, like, in the most respectful way. Like, you're somebody who processes emotions in real time. It takes me a while too, and so I was just like in the moment, like, okay, we got to keep going on with the questions. Like, let's answer the questions. So now I'm processing that, and I'm just like,
Hmm.
oh shoot, like
Hmm.
the questions that we were asking her were it was literally like a rewiring in real time. She was
Yes.
able to reframe, retell stories, like reclaim, like we said it in the episode, like if I'm the narrator, if I'm the main character, if I'm the star of the show, I can literally say what I want about my life,
Hmm. Sure can.
about the past and the future.
Yes.
And so that concept alone and just that feeling alone it brought so much healing to me, specifically for my family, not so much me like individually, but for my family. um I just and I know for her too. Please, you guys, listen to the episode. There's so many gems that were dropped. She so beautiful in sharing her story and what inspired her current book, and just how she is working through a lot.
Yeah.
And we found out that we were connected to her. We '07 crew, we all graduated in 2007. If you graduated from high school in 2007, you know what we talking about. We are special beings. Like that
Hmm.
year 2007 was magical. Like we
Hmm.
claimed it when we graduated. We knew it. Like I remember being in 8th grade, like, oh yeah, we about to graduate from high school in '07. Like we were doing an '07 chant in 8th grade.
Oh my gosh.
So, like, when she said, "Oh, y'all graduated 2007," like, we all know that that was a special year.
Hmm.
So we're in the same age group, and we're connected to her. We are connected
Yeah.
to her. We knew it. I knew it. And it was just
Yeah.
confirmed with that discussion. And so I'm just still in shock.
Yeah. Yes,
Like,
girl.
oh shoot, that was big. That was
It
big.
was. Look, I said the same thing when she started. I was like, "Oh shoot, is she, oh no." I'm like, "But no, this is good. Oh, this
Yeah.
is so good.
Right.
It's good
Right.
because it's just the authenticity, and it's what I
Right.
love that she showed up as her authentic self,
Right.
and I felt honored because I'm like, I'm being authentic too.
Right, like, and the
Alyssa's
fact
being
that she
authentic
was
too. That's why.
comfortable, the fact that she was
Hmm.
comfortable enough, it's just like we made her feel, even though this is virtual,
Hmm.
we made her feel comfortable enough to be open and raw and authentic.
I have to say something about that, the whole virtual thing is, I know, like, and originally we definitely wanted to be in person and, do all of this in person, but um God told us we had to start now with what we had.
Mhm. Mhm.
But I'm like, the way that we feel connected to people that we haven't even shared airspace with, I'm like, it don't matter if we're virtual now.
Mhm.
Like, there is a higher order to things,
Mhm.
like, that we cannot understand, or can't even put into words, like
Mhm.
the what we you just told me yesterday that Malidoma Somé not ended his life, but at the end of his life was living here in Orlando,
Mhm.
where we graduated in '07.
Mhm.
Was
Yeah.
living here in Orlando teaching people and stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, this is, things are always, it's just a whole, everything is more than what it seems. And that part of the interview that we didn't really spend a long time with, so I hope that she gets to talk about her experiences a little bit more, mostly because I just love stories like this. But she talked about how she worked on a plantation and the ways that she felt like she was a time traveler
Mhm.
because she was experiencing the feeling of being a slave on the plantation,
Mhm.
as well as just being who she is now, working on it.
Mhm.
And I was like, when
Mhm.
she said that, I was like, oh shoot, I can relate to that. Like, I get that, because there are some areas in Florida, some areas, like, even when I'm traveling, where it's like, this is going to be a bit weird. um, but like, I see what's here and now,
Mhm.
but I can also see and sense in some way the past that was there. And
Mm.
I can feel the feelings of,
Yeah.
like, the energy that was there before.
I never knew that.
Yeah, it's which
Wow.
is what it was very I was very happy to move from New York to Florida.
Uh-huh.
I moved as a kid. I was 12, 13 years old, but I
Mhm.
was happy because I was like, oh shoot, like, now I don't have to deal with that. Now I don't have to visit Abe Lincoln's home and worry about, like, what spirits I'm going to see there or how they're going to make me feel. Like, I'm just that sensitive.
In New York, in New York. Okay.
Yeah, so, like, I can't imagine myself, because Sarah seems to be a very sensitive person as well. I can't imagine myself working on a plantation
Yeah. And so but you
voluntarily.
moved to Florida and still experienced the same thing?
Yeah, so there's places I can't go to. There's places I can't, or if we're driving somewhere, like, I can't look out the window. I got to keep my head down, or I got to focus on something else, because it's just that, like, the feeling that rushes over me is so uncomfortable.
Wow.
Hmm.
Wow. That's definitely a remembering then. It
Yeah,
is definitely
yeah,
an experiencing 2 different timelines. It really is.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
I'm wondering if it's in this book, my mind. So, I'm gonna let our listeners know that, not only have we started reading and learning about Malidoma Somé and his life, and, after speaking with Sarah, but, listening to Abiola Abrams, which she has several books out that we have read, and the one that we're currently reading is discusses the teachings of Abdullah.
Mhm.
And I am getting, like, as I'm speaking, I'm like, wait, this is from that book. So things are kind of merging, but they're merging because they're all along the same lines.
Yes.
Um,
Yes, let me get the name of that book right quick. I'm just pulling it
yes.
up before you continue. It is From Imagination to Reality by
Yes.
Abiola Abrams. It's called Secret Manifestation Lessons and the Law of Assumption from Abdullah, Master Alchemist. So the book is her talking about what Abdullah taught.
Yes, yes. And he did, the part of the book that I'm at right now is where he mentioned that when you see a person, um or was it that when he sees a person, he said that when you see a person, um, they may not always see themselves yet. They may not see who they're going to be or who they are, right? But
Mhm.
you may be able to see who they are and help remind them of that.
Hmm.
Um, and it's like speaking life into people.
Mhm.
And so I'm like, I feel like we could do that for Sarah. Like, she's such a person of influence. And I know she's going to be a fabulous teacher for me. And, I'm just so grateful that she came onto this podcast and like we were able to share, like, you are it.
Mhm.
You are it.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I that's what she was saying in the episode, is like that is a part of her work, is
Hmm.
realizing that, like, she, realizing who her family is and the impact that they've had on, black culture. And now she's like, she is carrying the torch. She's about to start carrying the torch and take it home. Like, this girl is it for real, and it's gonna blow up and be, master teacher, and somebody who is going to be a leader in
Yeah.
everything that we're talking about, it for us, for our age group, for, even people after us, but specifically for our age group, because we are, discovering it, learning it, being it. And so it's like she is one of those people, and I'm so happy that we got her to come,
Yes.
and she accepted, and she saw something in us, obviously, like, okay,
Yes.
like, we're
I
doing something
know.
right, because she wanted to come too, and she said she wants to come
Yes.
back. So it's like, oh my gosh, you want to come back for real? Oh my gosh, like, okay,
Hmm.
I know I'm good, we know we good, but like, you
Hmm.
do for real? Like,
Hmm.
so it's, we have to accept it too, that we're going to be leaders. We are leaders. We're
Oh,
this
girl. Yes.
podcast, us talking
Yes.
about it. But back to Abiola's book, the reason why Jessica was saying that there's so many synchronicities in between the books is because Abdullah is somebody who lived, it was like the early 1900s, in
Hmm.
New York City, and was a teacher. He was an African man from, where was he from? Ethiopia.
Ethiopia. Ethiopia.
Ethiopia, and his village was colonized. So he is was Jewish and of, African culture, faith. He practiced African spirituality, and he was a Jewish person, so he talks about God and African spirituality. But he was a manifesting teacher. He taught people how to use magic with being, feeling, thinking with their mind. And he taught very, I hate that he, in order for people to know him, you have to know who he taught,
Hmm.
which is kind of, and they're white people.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like, eh. But he, taught very famous white people who, are now major teachers in the new age manifesting free thought space.
Hmm.
um and so I'm glad that Abiola is like bringing him. She said, she even says in her book that it's because of who he was in that time period, because he was a black person. People even have doubts that he even existed. And she
Yes.
she doesn't even argue that point, because she was just like, I know he was real, so I don't even have to argue that. Like, that's not what this book is about. This book is about his teachings. And so the parallels between that book and Maladoma Somay's book is that people in Africa, being connected to their spirituality, the land, their ancestors, know that magic is real.
They said Malodoma said it's their way of life.
It's their way of life. An example that he gave in the book is that he brought a TV back with a video tape of Star Wars back to his village, and he wanted to see their reactions. And He said that they don't even have a word in his language for fake.
Yes, no word for fiction.
No word for fiction because it's
Because
not
if you can see
possible.
it, you can be it.
It's not possible.
Hmm.
So so their reaction was so funny. Like they're just like, "Oh, okay, yeah, we know." Like they didn't. He couldn't tell them that that was fiction. That people in America thought that this was fake because to them, you do talk to people from other realms and other planets, and you do, communicate in this way. You do travel in space and a time. Like it's. I'm not a Star Wars junkie, so I don't know anything
I
about.
can't help there either.
Yeah. So, but their reaction was just like, "Okay, yeah, we know this is normal."
Oh, it was Star Trek.
Star
It was
Trek,
Star Trek.
not Star Wars,
Yes,
Star
and
Trek.
yes, and he said the only character they could relate to was Spock. Still, don't remember much about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Because he said something. Um, it was something about Spock. Um, but
Oh God.
yes, that they
Yeah.
don't have a word for fake for fiction
Mhm.
because anything can be real.
Mhm. Mhm.
My goodness. There is another part of the book where majority like the excuse me, the meat of the book, the main part of the book takes place during his initiation. He talks about how um, initiation is basically what happens in his village, where the boys have to be in the wilderness, or excuse me, whoa, let me not say the wilderness, because according to Malidoma, the wilderness is what his village, his people call anywhere that is outside of the village. If you went to America, you went to the
You
wilderness.
went to the wilderness.
That was
That's
so
so
funny to me.
funny. That's so funny.
Yes.
I feel
I'm
like that's
like,
how we are as Black people too.
girl, that's what I said. I'm like, because in Jamaica, if you don't grow up, oh, you're from foreign. And so like
Mhm.
when I have gone to Jamaica, that's what they'll call me, foreign. And so I'm like yes, I
Yeah.
am foreign, I guess. Like
y- Yeah. Or
um
even like if we look out in the woods somewhere. Oh, like when I was a Girl Scout leader at a Girl Scout camp here in Florida, and then we were at national parks. We stayed in the park, but it's like that was the wilderness. Out in the
yeah.
wilderness, girl. I was out in the wilderness.
Uh-huh. That's so funny. But yeah, so but the still while he's doing that initiation, he really talks about how like he's by himself. He is but he doesn't feel alone. And why is he not alone? Because he consistently has his spiritual his ancestors with him. Like the spiritual realm is with him at all times, making sure that he survives. Like it's a that part of the book, I kept telling myself like meanwhile, I know I'm listening to the book and I know I'm doing work in my front yard. So I was already like in a very what do you want to call it? Like I already had felt like very mystical, I guess, because when I'm working with my plants, I get into like almost like a trance state
Mhm.
where I'm like, okay, God, what do these plants need? Show me, what do they need? And I talk to the plants and I'm like, really with them, really in the earth, with the earth. And so I'm listening to the book and I'm hearing the stuff that he's saying about his time going through his initiation. And I'm like, okay, wait. Because he talks about like the plants having spirits and the spirits communicating with him. And so I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, that's cool. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm doing. And I'm like, hello, you are listening to like an autobiography here. Like, this
Mhm.
is real. You are not listening to a Disney tale. Like, this is for real.
Mm. Mhm. Mhm.
And so I'm like, oh
Which
my
is
God.
sidebar. The reason why there's very specific reasons why me and Jessica highlight pop culture movies with certain themes. It's Disney being one of them. Like
Hmm.
these people that create movies, write, direct. I'm like, are y'all in a secret society that know what's going on?
You know it. You know it. Because hello, let's go here. Let's go here. Because I just said this to my son yesterday. Rhonda Byrne, creator of The Secret, said the only reason why Oprah was the only person that I ever interviewed with before Lewis Howes of the Great School. But like when The Secret came out, she only did one interview and it was only with Oprah. And she said, it's because I knew that Oprah lived this. Oprah knew the principles. And we know what Oprah came from and where she's at now. Okay. We can track all of that. There's no possible way for her to have gotten to where she is now without feeling, knowing, and understanding that God is within her and that she can do it. Makes you unstoppable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we don't, unless you're one of the lucky ones, you don't grow up knowing this. You don't, we don't grow up really understanding that, really feeling that. Um, a lot of people. I'm not going to make that a blanket statement that applies to everyone. But I do believe, like, how else would Oprah have known this and seen this? Who was she with? All them people,
Yeah, she
you
she
know.
studied a lot of people. She had a lot of people,
Mhm.
on the
Mhm.
show. She read a lot of books and
She got in with the in crowd, and
mhm,
she knew. She's like, oh, this is it. Okay,
mhm,
and ran with it.
mhm.
Um, yeah. So,
But you were
yeah.
saying you thought it was a fiction. You thought you're listening to a Disney tale.
Yes. And then because usually, like, I'm I mean, I could say that I have a wild imagination and I don't let things be open all the time because, I don't want people to look at me like, oh, she's crazy or whatever. Um, but like even the stuff, some of the stuff that he was describing, like I can't see it happening in real life.
Mhm.
So I'm like,
Mhm.
well, he's explaining, like, especially when it came to the plants, he's explaining something that I have experienced, not to that extent that he's talking about, which you'll have to read this part of the book to understand. Um, I'm not going to spoil it. Excuse me, I'm not going to spoil it. Um, so I'm not to the extent that he has, but definitely like even um, like there are a lot of other things that happened during his time going through the initiation that he it just didn't seem like it's humanly possible, and that's because it's not humanly possible. Like it is not humanly possible for him to do a lot of stuff that he did and experienced. It's only because it's not, I think it transcends the abilities of a human, and it's also us recognizing like we need a we need to reimagine, revise what it means to be human now.
That's what we're gonna do. That's what we're doing. That is what we're doing.
Yes.
It's a little bit scary.
Sarah did mention a lot. She said that part of the interview that got her emotional was that she kept saying empires have to fall and
Mhm.
that she's afraid.
Mhm.
And to out of respect for the timing of that episode, um, I immediately asked her a question, which was, what are you doing to ground yourself? Like, how are you staying grounded? But I'm like, I feel like I know what she was talking about. Like we didn't really get into much about what she was saying, but
Yeah.
I know a lot of our people are afraid right now. And
Yeah, but that's why we're having this discussion is like that's why we have this podcast is it is going to be very scary, but you need to arm yourself.
mm-hmm,
You need to what I would say, to relate to people, to Christians that are aware of, the armor of God, like the breastplate of righteousness. Like, you need to arm yourself with spiritual technologies, to reference Stephanie Ike's message that I was talking about earlier in the episode. She says that hearing from God, when you're connected to him, being able to hear from him is just the beginning. That's the most basic level of spiritual maturity.
Mm.
So catch up, people. If you're not even in a space where you can hear from him, we got some growing to do. Hearing from God is the most basic one. Using your intuition is the most basic one. Okay?
You know, I got to go back and watch that episode, watch that video that you sent me with this, because I would have heard that.
His interruptions.
Yeah, we have a baby podcaster,
Hi.
a baby miracle.
Yes, a baby miracle. Okay, come on, let's go. Let's relax. Let's latch on to the other side. You know he want to talk on the show.
Hmm.
He's touching the mics. Yeah, you have to go back and listen to it because it is scary. Like what do we in my mind, I have visions. You were just talking about how you have visions of yourself doing something off camera. I literally have visions of me, especially because I'm about to start this spiritual herbalism course next week in about
Oh
seven,
my
8
gosh.
days. I know
Already.
already. I have visions of people, like people being so scared, like there's not being, like we don't have any access to. I feel like, okay, you know how, did you ever watch the Left Behind series?
Mm-mm, I don't know what that is.
Left Behind, the movie, is basically like movies about the book of Revelation when Jesus comes and calls people up, and
Oh.
like the aftermath of it, and like the people that were left behind, like what they have to go through on earth.
Oh
And
wow.
yeah, I told you I went to a Christian school. I watched that in 6th grade, girl.
Oh
Scary.
my god.
Like
Just reading the book of
uncertainty.
Revelation scared me.
Yeah, but so it's called Left Behind, and I maybe that's why I have a vision of it. But like, food was scarce.
Mhm.
You didn't know who to turn to. You didn't know who to rely on. You had to like get up and run and like flee and just like go, and it was like you had to know where people lived, like who is safe, who can I have seek refuge with. But I have a vision of me, like in the future, like being somebody that people come to for medicine or for
Mm.
healing. Like, oh, she knows how to heal this, we got to go to her, like in secret, like she knows how, like that sounds so crazy and I'm getting
It
chills.
don't sound crazy.
But
Mhm.
I have a vision of like me just in, dressed up. I have a headdress on. I have like this cloak on or something, and I have like all these medicines. I have all these medicines. I'm just like, here you go, here you go, like divvying them out. Here you go. Take this for this, and this is what this is gonna do. All right, here you go, here you go. I'm just like,
I
oh
love that.
wow. And
I
I mean,
love that.
Donella's right there. The kids are right there, but it's just like I'm in Florida. It's close,
Mm.
like a close time period too.
Mm.
So I don't
Mm.
know, girl, but that's what I see.
Yeah, I love that.
Ah,
That sounds cool. I told you about my dreams about me being somebody that people come to for spiritual work. Me wearing my this is before I even started wearing head wraps. Like right now, if you're listening, I have a head wrap on. This is before I even learned how to wrap and where to get them from, and or even like the purpose of me wearing them. But I, in my dreams, like these people are coming to me, celebrities, but also family members coming to me because they need help to get to someone spiritually. They need to find out, like, well, what's really going on with this person, or you know, or like tell me about what happened here. Like I'm just the seer.
yeah, yeah,
And so every time I have that, I'm looking at, I'm like, why am I like this? I'm like, hold up, like you telling everybody now that you could do this and this and that. like, like, how do they know?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I love that. I love that idea of you. And one thing that I refrained from saying earlier is that I was talking about how, um, going how Sarah Makiba did talk about being working on a plantation and experiencing in real time the past of what it was like being there, as well
Mhm.
as the present of her voluntarily being there, right?
Mhm.
And so I was saying basically that I can relate to that because I am extremely sensitive to different areas. Depends on what's happened in the area. I don't know. I can't explain it. But I can feel the energetic heaviness or lightness of the
Mhm.
place.
Mhm.
Um, and so there's also something as a teacher that I loved because it helped me remember my students' names, and also just meeting people. I can tell, but just by looking at someone, I can tell not necessarily about how successful they're going to be, but I can tell like what they may be in the future. I see their potential.
You always say that. You do say that. You
So I can
do.
see I don't, and I can't explain, like, is it because they're living their truth right now? Is it because, like, like, how does this work? I don't know how it works, but I would be able to see, like, oh, this person's going somewhere. Or I'd be able to see, like, okay, I probably need to stay away from this person. Like, I can see it
Mm.
physically, almost like not a shadow, but like if it's a child, like, you can see like the essence of them as an adult. Like
Girl, that's
standing
why
over
you
them.
gotta watch The Wheel of Time. You haven't been watching it.
No, I haven't.
Every episode, girl, first of all, every episode is like 2 hours long. But every
Um,
episode they reveal people that have gifts. I'm
mhm.
convinced whoever's created this show like knows something
Okay.
because it's fantasy adventure. So it's magic,
Mhm.
witches, like elements, ogres, like it's crazy. But the episode that we just watched, they revealed somebody. They featured somebody she's called a seer,
Oh.
and the Aes Sedai, which they're like powerful witches in the show, well, powerful women that can do magic in the show. I'm gonna stop saying that in that reference, but they're powerful women in the show because the only people that call them witches are the Christian, like
Oh, see.
trying to burn them
Mhm.
all, kill them all.
Mhm.
But they they can do alchemy, they can do magic, but they don't all have this. They don't have
The same
the same.
talent.
There's certain people that have certain powers
Mhm.
and in certain levels of powers, but this he wants to speak. This is my baby, so we're just gonna allow him to speak. He's about to knock over everything. Basically, one of the Aes Sedai goes to this lady called a seer because she wants her to show. She brings her 4 people. She's like, look at those 4 people over there. Tell me which one you see as a dragon, because that's what they're trying to figure out the show who's a dragon reborn in the show.
Mhm.
And the lady, she can see people's futures, past, and but when she looks at all of them lined up, she sees their auras, colors
Oh, okay.
coming up
Oh,
from their
okay.
head.
Like you. Mhm.
What, like you, but exactly what you described. Like she can see
Oh,
people.
really?
She can see
Okay.
people. Like you go to her and you be like, okay, what do you see? What do you know about me? So she knows your past. She knows
Wow.
your future. Like she just by looking at you.
Wow. You want to know something crazy that happened? Sidebar. My sister came over the weekend, right? She came over with her best friend, and she showed me two book bags. I say book bag, I don't say backpack. Anyway, she showed me two book bags, right? And she was like, "Which one do you think is mine?" One was like black with sunflowers, another one was white with pink bows or something. And I was like, I feel like the pink one would be yours, but for some reason, and I don't know why, the black one with the sunflowers is yours. And she was like, there was only one left of the pink one, and that's her favorite color, and it's her birthday. So I let her have that one. So, yes, the black one is now mine. I was like, what?
You said exactly what it was.
Exactly. And that was just me going with the first thing that came to mind. And so
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, so always just say that. Say what's the first thing. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, how did I do that? She was like, I don't know how you did that. I'm like, oh shoot. That's crazy. Because I'm thinking, as you're telling me that, I'm thinking about if someone were to come to you and ask you these questions, what do you do? It's easy to second guess yourself. It's easy to second guess yourself.
And in the
And
moment that you say, "I don't know," you're not gonna know.
exactly.
You shut yourself off to it.
Yes, yes. But the more that you just let it out, the more you let it out, it becomes easier and easier and easier.
Right.
Lord, I cannot, girl, I was blown away. I said, how? How? But it's okay. I'm not gonna worry about the how, but it happens.
Mhm.
I was like, I'm
Mhm.
not even. I'm like, I don't know. We getting onto something here
Mhm.
now
Mhm.
because that
Mhm.
is way too specific for me. Here.
But yeah, it's develop I we're gonna have speak more about developing spiritually, maturing, past manifestation. Sarah talked about being a diviner, what that entails. We want to get more into that. So breaking down the fear, it's so crazy. I had over in my head, like, the people just kept popping into my mind of, like, the people that have an issue with what we were talking about on the show. And so I just imagined a reality where they didn't listen to it, and the people that needed to listen to it. Like, you
Hmm.
worried about these people, they're probably not even going to listen to it.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
And if
Exactly
they
that.
do, and what are
Yeah.
you? I think what it is that I feel like my importance or significance in that person's life is going to diminish.
Yeah.
And you talk about shame, but in that way, it's just like, am I going to be seen as less of a person
Hmm.
in that person's eyes because I am talking about this?
Mm. Hmm. Hmm. And it's in the book Malidoma does have it's an experience like that where he's like,
Mm.
oh shoot, it makes you because you don't want to ever be perceived in a negative light,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
then what other people got to say don't really matter,
Yeah, because I
especially when
mean,
you're
in
living
this
in your
thing is
truth.
right, and I'm gonna be me. I'm still me, and that's
Yeah.
gonna be if I do a part of the anxiety that I carry is like, I will think of scenarios, and then I'll play out. If somebody says this to me, then I'll say this, and I need to be in the present. Be here now. Be here now. Be here now,
Mm.
Alyssa.
Isn't that not her thing?
Yes. So instead of just playing out responses, my one response is just like, I'm still me, and
Yeah.
then I'll go back to the present.
Yeah.
Be
Yeah.
here now. Like, I'm not
Yes.
gonna even play it because the conversations might not even happen. They don't have to happen. And in
Exactly.
in the reality that I want, I'm still me.
Exactly.
I am still
Exactly.
important to myself. I still carry significance to me, myself, and my family. I'm still me.
Mhm.
Be here
Mhm.
now.
Mhm. Mhm.
So,
We have no choice but to be that way. And I say that we have no choice because we know what it's like not living that way. We know what we feel like when we hide ourselves,
yeah.
and we can't hide ourselves.
No,
And
no.
it's like, what is it? Not only will it limit when you hide yourself, you prevent your gifts from growing. Um, and gifts don't even have to be in the mystical way.
Yeah.
Just in general, any your talents, you it's like you cover yourself up with dirt.
Right.
And
Yeah.
living in your truth is, rinsing yourself off with the living waters of God. and doing
Mm.
that in a way that is a what is it? It's in a physical way, of course,
Mhm.
spiritual way.
Mhm.
Um, I feel like I'm talking about baptism because that is what baptism is, really.
Oh,
Rinsing
what
yourself off in the
in the water? But
yeah.
that made me think of one thing that what Maladoma was talking about in his book is just connecting all the indigenous cultures and their connection to nature, and how you have to, have a reverence for nature and for the elements in order to live in spirit. We talk about spirituality sometimes. I think we have a one way view of what spirituality is, but like
Mhm.
indigenous cultures do not,
Yeah.
because it's their way of life. Like, you have to know that spirituality also includes being in nature,
Yes.
talking to plants, the spirit of plants, knowing that the wind is does have something to say to you,
Mm.
knowing that, trees are living beings, obviously plants are living beings, and water, we did a whole series on water. So it was,
Yeah.
we know that the magic of water. And so that is spirituality too. That was one of the things, because sometimes you feel like you hear about, oh, indigenous cultures believe this, indigenous cultures, like, we have indigenous culture too as African people, and we also believe the same thing.
Hello. Hello.
So
Sure
that's
do.
what that book confirmed. I forgot, I was like, I need to say that because I forgot
Yeah.
about that too.
Yeah. And one really interesting thing that he said, ooh, was he said that they questioned, like, why are the colonizers even coming here? What did they do to their land that they have to come here and interfere with us and take from us? They must have destroyed their homes.
Hmm. Like, they want to come here, what are you doing?
Mhm. Mhm.
Like, even
Mhm.
then they didn't realize the significance or the master plan that they had.
I think I need to put a timeline on this because we're talking about this and it sounds like we're talking about something from like the what 1800s or something. Like
Hmm.
Malidoma Somé passed away in 2021, right?
He
And
was born in 1956. My mom was born in 1959, so basically the same ages as our parents.
hello, he is a baby boomer. That's
Yes.
all I'm gonna say. He's
Yes.
a baby boomer.
He was born in 1956, so this is not somebody who was born in slavery. He's talking about colonizers coming to his village as a little boy, trying to teach his village Christianity.
Hmm.
And that was a mind-blowing concept for me, the fact that Christianity is a part of colonialism. What? That's why it was used to control us.
When you just mentioned the book of Revelation, it makes me now think back to that and reading that and the fear that it puts into us. And it's like, but wait, so which part of this is something that you put in here? And which part of this is what's really what it is? Which is why we have to be connected to our own spiritual God, our own selves, each and every one of us, because it allows us to discern the lies from the truth.
The lies from the truth, and it allows us to have our own experience of God, reading the Bible and getting to know it and meditating on it and being in prayer and fasting. Is you develop your own relationship with God. So that means you know what he's telling
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
through the word.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to rely on somebody else. Yes, we have to be guided, and we are led by gifted people that are pastors and leaders within the church, but it is very, very important to develop your own spiritual practice. Even if it is reading the Bible, reading other spiritual books, you have to have your own knowing in your own relationship, so that you can discern, like Jessica said, like, I don't have to use your interpretation of this book, of this
Mhm.
verse. That's why it doesn't apply to me, because that's your interpretation.
Yep. Yep.
So
That's a good conclusion.
yes, we're gonna leave it off there because I have a baby in the background that's trying to pull down blinds now. We want to thank you guys for listening. Please share this episode. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you have not subscribed. Hit the notification button. Follow us on Instagram. Keep Expecting Miracles Pod. We're trying to grow, guys. We're trying to get some affiliate links. We're trying to get some money so we can upgrade our technology, so we can spread the message in a better way. So subscribe,
Mhm.
follow, comment, like, share,
Mhm. Share, share,
listen,
share.
share. Yes, and listen. And send us messages, support us, send us your manifestation stories or what you want to manifest, because as we said, like, this podcast is a tool for manifestation. So if you have something that you want to manifest, please send it to us so we can share it, so we can get your message out and have it be more amplified by the more people. That's why we want you to share it to the more people that listen to this and have that agreement with you for what you want to manifest, means that it will happen in
Mhm.
a more rapid way, powerful way. Thank you guys. Bye bye.
Bye.